Oh, hello there. Yes, well, we're hurtling into the future, one day at a time. It'll soon be February in the future. How odd. Yes, anyway, my thoughts this weekend were of the past, I'm afraid, as they often are in my dotage. But I was thinking about things like historical parallels, and you have that whole history repeating itself, not by anything interesting and not in any exact way, or words to that effect. But I was thinking of the ongoing, as it was from about 1936 to 1939, Danzig crisis. Yes, in where? About a small city nestling on the silvery Baltic Sea, which two warring groups have been squabbling over for a long period of time. Part of the world that had been carved up by imperial powers over and over again, just drawing lines on a map. Yes, I know, historical parallels and all that thing. If you look at British newspapers, at the time, certain of them were very, very supportive of a newly formed and belligerent power in that particular part of the world. The Daily Mail and the Express in particular. Obviously, these days we've basically got all of our press who are particularly one-sided, one might say. But if you look back to those times, you can see that an awful lot of people knew full well what was coming. They could see those storm clouds, and that's what, in many ways, we have perhaps Churchill to thank for most of all. He knew the threat that was brewing there and decided to nip it if he could, which of course he couldn't because he was shunted out of office and power for a long period of time. But leaving that aside, I mean, just ordinary people basically were very much shifting their viewpoints on the world. If you look back to the British Communist Party, one of the dreadful things that it did, which made it shred a great deal of its members, was the signing of the Nazi Molotov non-aggression pact. Yes. Anyway, leaving that aside, I mean, at the time, various people were saying things like, oh, the war, there isn't going to be a war because the Romanians won't allow it and they supply Hitler with oil and therefore they could just pull the plug any time they wanted to, except of course, well, they didn't, and in many ways they couldn't because that wasn't the game. And there were lots of people that were those apologists at the time who, even though Adolf Hitler and his acolytes said over and over again what they wanted. And what they wanted, of course, was just a lot more than anyone would possibly be able to give them. But they did signal exactly that Lebensraum, that notion of the land that they felt was theirs, and they were willing to take it over and over again. And people didn't really want to get involved, did they? But unfortunately, at the time, they should have done, as we well know, because by the time it was too late, well, it was too late, wasn't it? Anyway, do have a lovely Monday if you can. There's a subtle danger I might actually wake up in the morning and it'll be light. That might be quite nice in my life.